Court. All right. Well, welcome back to the second podcast for the Daily Six. I'm here to talk with Kelly Shaw today. Kelly is the Client Executive for Employee Benefits at Hylant. And I know Kelly through my Rotary connections. She is the most energetic person I have ever seen. I joined Rotary when I was 30, which was a very long time ago. And Kelly still beats me even when I was 30. So, she's into this and into that. And I've never seen anybody really more embody the concepts of service that we talk about in the Daily Six than Kelly. So Kelly, welcome to the podcast. Tell me a little bit about
Happy to be here.
How you got engaged or involved with the concepts either in service or Rotary or however that came together.
Sure. So thank you, John, for having me. Service is something for me that is just really part of the fabric of who I am. It started at a very early age. My family was very involved in the community, and it was very important to my parents to be able to give back and to make a difference in other people's lives. So I grew up in that mentality and that opportunity to see the actual impact that it could have to do something for somebody else. So really at the heart of it, service is so important to me because I have seen the impact and I understand the impact that it can have. As you mentioned, you and I are in Rotary together, and one of our, as a Rotarian, something that's very important to us is that concept of service above self.
Right.
And so to be truly a servant leader is to think about others and to put others first and to meet the needs of others. And I feel like as leaders, it's our responsibility to do for others and build others up. And I think that when you can touch it, see it, and feel it, and you understand truly the impact by helping someone else and providing for someone else, you really understand the impact that you can have in the world.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I can remember, I did not grow up in that kind of a family. It wasn't until I sort of got my own business going and got engaged with the community that I started noticing exactly what you're talking about, whether it was Salvation Army or helping the kids at Boy Scouts or whatever it might be. It was amazing to actually, we sort of live in these hermetically sealed bubbles. Whatever life we're living, we sort of assume everybody else is living the same kind of life. And when we get out of that, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this little bit here could really make a difference over here.
Right.
It really is a difference. In the book, I talk about the fact that nothing changes our perspective faster than service. For me, it was always, kind of what's in it for me. And when I started practicing service, I started thinking about what's in it from me. What am I putting into the relationships in my life? Have you found that to be the case as well?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the concepts that you talk about in your Daily Six book and in the video is this notion that so many people think about service on such a large scale, and it can be so overwhelming. Like you say in your video, talking about, I want to save the homeless, or I want to feed the homeless. I want to, on these big scale, and that's really overwhelming for people to try and figure out, well, what can I as one person do?
Right.
To just kind of share a short story with you.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
years ago, I worked at the Children's Hospital, and to your point, how often do we get caught up in our bubble and the daily stresses of our lives and our world, and kind of fail to see what else is out there? So years ago, I'm working at the Children's Hospital, having what I consider to be a super stressful day. I go down to the gift shop and I meet this young patient. I'd say she was probably 7 or 8 years old. I don't know why she was a patient at the Children's Hospital, but I know that she had probably 3 or 4 IVs hooked. Her father was carrying the IV bags behind her wheelchair.
Oh.
And this young gal stopped me in my tracks. And I was buying a package of peanut M&Ms at the counter. And in my own ignorance, I turned to this young girl and asked her, does she want some of my peanut M&Ms? Completely failing to realize that she can't have any of mine. And this young gal asks me what it is that she could do to make my day better. And here she is, a child receiving inpatient treatment at the Children's Hospital. And John, it stopped me in my tracks to think, my perspective has just been changed. How innocent, how quickly I could do, how someone else could do something to impact me in my day. And here I'm the one that's not even a patient at the hospital. So I decided to develop this mission statement for my life.
Okay.
That drives sort of the very fabric of my being and how I interact in the world. And that mission statement is very, very simple. But that mission statement is to inform, inspire, and impact.
Okay.
And I think back to the point that you make in the video about how overwhelming it can be. Most people want the big, grandiose way to provide service.
Right.
But the reality is that as one person, I can make a difference. As one person, you can make a difference. And so to really look at service, everybody has different amounts of time that are available. They have different amounts of treasure and different talents. But the reality is that every single person has talents, strengths, and abilities that they can use to help someone else.
Right. When you told me the story, I thought, my gosh, how stressful must you have looked in that gift shop if that little girl thought she could help you. She thought you could help you. You know, it's especially true now with all the people being, you know, segregated off in our own little separated bubbles. We were sort of separated in the office, and now we're really separated.
Right.
And you know, people are sort of, now they're really sort of off and alone. And there are a lot of people out there who require other people around to maintain a level of energy. And
sure.
One of the things that I have found is, if you can think of ways, and there are ways, even with all the restrictions that we have on us today, there are ways you can still be of service to people. You can, I have a good friend of mine who is trying to turn a couple of he's a much bigger concept guy than I am. He's turning a couple of convention centers into kitchens for a couple of large cities.
Absolutely.
But he said his deal was, you know, get some, you know, if you don't want to go to the grocery store, get it delivered to you, and then take it and leave it at an elderly person's house.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
You know, and, you know, even being disconnected as we are, we can still find ways to be connected. But service, you know, is one of those things I don't think really, it starts happening when you start looking for it, you know?
Right.
And if you're looking for it, all of a sudden, a whole lot more of it becomes very clear in your mind. You know, I guess it's, you know, awareness of what you're looking for. When you become aware that you're trying to provide service, it's there.
The needs are endless, and there's opportunities everywhere. But you're absolutely right. It's that change in perspective. Instead of going through life solely focused on me or you as an individual and how I'm experiencing life, but to have that perspective to look for opportunities. How can I be of service to someone else? It doesn't cost anything to be kind.
Right.
And it doesn't cost anything to offer a helping hand to someone. So case in point, here in amongst the quarantine and isolation, are so many ways to help other people and be of service. As you mentioned, having food delivered, sending gift cards, helping local businesses is huge. It's an opportunity. What about those folks that are perhaps have a vulnerable immune system, can't go to the grocery store?
Right.
It doesn't even require these days to go to the grocery store for them. You can still have food delivered.
Right.
But it doesn't cost anything to be kind.
No.
And I think as we get so caught up in how isolation might be impacting me or how it might be impacting you, the reality is that everybody's going through something.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't always know what someone else is going through. And yet to think on such a small basis, how it's this mindset, what can I do today that guarantees that someone else is better off today because of an act of kindness or an act of service that I did for them today. It's not about me, but service is truly above self, as you and I know from Rotary. So that's why when I implemented this mission statement on my life, it truly is, what can I do? What is the impact that I as an individual can have, and how best to do that?
Right. No, I think that's, I think that's great. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because it just seemed like everywhere I turned, you were, at the forefront of trying to get some help or some guidance to somebody. Now, you just, that inform, inspire, and impact is a good, simple 3-word mission statement. It's very inclusive, and it takes care of a lot of different issues. Sometimes, like you said, it's funny in keynotes, I say, there are big things like, feed the homeless and house the homeless and feed the hungry. But we don't get much of that accomplished, but we can. Yesterday we were at a grocery store picking a pickup, and there were a number of people in the parking lot looking for food, different meals and that kind of thing. And so we got a few extra bags of food and distributed it to the people in the parking lot. So, it's just, but I can guarantee you there were times in my life where I wouldn't have noticed the people in the parking lot.
Right.
I would have simply driven in, got my stuff, and then driven out. Service really means, for me, trying to pay attention to what's going on around me rather than, again, being so self-focused. It does tend to screw up your level of self-focus. Service does. It's like, dang, got it. I got to get up and go do something else. But I'm actually have a little thing I'm going to say on Monday we're going to do that Rotary online meeting, similar to this, but I guess with 50 or 60 people, I guess. And
should be a good crowd.
That's right. Well, that's right. I think my picture is going to be about the same size as it is on my screen right now, about the size of a postage stamp. So, but I think the idea is nothing will make you sleep better than a heart full of service. If you're able to provide something for someone, especially not even requested, just do something for somebody. There's nothing that would probably take away a lot of the anxiety and issues associated with being so segregated from everybody else right now. So
I think you just hit the nail on the head, at least in how I grew up and how I view service and the impact that you can have, is that not always do you find that people ask for help. And so many times there are so many people that if you just asked them if you could help, or you asked them for their talents or their time, they're so willing to give and to participate. And so part of what I feel is being that servant leader and having that focus of service is be proactive. Don't be reactive to service. Don't wait for someone to say they need help, but anticipate what it is that someone's needs might be. It's kind of like if you're sick at home with the flu and a friend calls and says, hey, can I bring you soup tonight? How many people actually take you up on that offer? Where truly, if it's a true act of service, you show up at that person's door with soup and you leave it at the front door.
That's right.
So to your point, it's not about the credit. It's not about the recognition. It's not about the notoriety. It's not always about having your name up on a billboard or your name on brick and mortar. It's those behind the scenes anonymous ways that we can make a difference in other people's lives that everyone can do. Everyone has talents.
No, I agree 100%. One of the things that I talk about in keynotes is one of the things that you can do is hold the elevator door for people.
Oh, right.
Because the most worn off button in an elevator behind number 1 is close the door.
For the door to close.
I want that door closed. I want to close right now. and how many times we hold it and just kind of look, is there somebody coming? Because a lot of times we'll run up the elevator and somebody's in the elevator going, bye-bye.
Right.
So
Sorry, you didn't make it.
That's right. Sorry, you didn't make it. And it's funny. I did that talk, I don't know, a year ago or so down in Orlando, and the people who were in the audience spent the whole rest of the day riding up and down on these elevators, holding the elevator door for people and calling people into the elevators and all sorts of things. But it was, that's if you can sort of build it into a spirit of enjoyment, and it's not a duty, it's a joy to be able to be in a position where you can provide service for people, be grateful that we can,
Absolutely. And for a variety of different reasons, people, they may not know what to ask for. They may not understand or know the help that it is that they need. Perhaps they've never had someone ask them if they could help. Perhaps they've never had someone offer to help, and not just offer, but to show up and help.
Right. Right. That's right. You said yes, but you actually showed up. Well, I'm not really sure what to ask you. You threw me off here. You did what you said you were going to do. So
exactly.
It really is. One of the things that I'm trying to do is make some slots available, not so much for not billing anybody or doing anything like that, but just if you need to, if you're going a little stir crazy, you'd like to reach out and talk to somebody, here's a phone, you go, give me a call. I'm happy to do it. I had a guy in Tallahassee post something the other day, and it sounded like he really needed to sort of get out and get some fresh air or something. And I called him and he said, oh my God, I haven't even talked to anybody in 2 or 3 days. And it was like, posting things online is not really the same as connecting with people face to face. And of course, you and I are doing as best we can with our social distancing here, but isn't
that true that so much of today's world, even across the different generations, is that it's all about the texting, it's all about email. So much has removed the human element now. And so interpersonal skills, now that we're all in isolation, the power of a phone call, the power of a face-to-face video chat with someone versus inundating their email inbox,
or a text, and it's like, it's so easy to say, I tell people, call them on the phone because it's easy to say no in a text. You need any help? No. Can I help you anyway? No, I don't want to. No. So, but if you can connect, you can, text is a communication tool with no emotion attached to it. So it's really easy to go, no, just say no. And you get them on the phone and you get a little emotion connected there. All of a sudden, people genuinely believe that you want to help. It's amazing what they'll begin to. I had a guy tell me something the other day. He said, I don't know why I even told you that. I've never told anybody else that. And I thought,
it's the power of human connection.
Yeah, maybe I just was willing to listen, kind of thing. Wow, what a great, wild idea.
But isn't that part of what servant leadership and service to others is about? Is it's not about my agenda. It's not about what I want or need, but it truly is listening to someone else, or observing, anticipating from someone else. What is it that they need? Now, God may have given me the talent and ability to help provide that for them, which how wonderful is that, to bridge the gap and to be able to help that person, but to truly listen to what the other person or the group of people or the cause is, to find out truly how can you make a difference, instead of assuming that I know the answer because of the shoes that I walk in.
That's right. It really, assumptions do tend to make bad bedfellows with good friends.
On a number of different levels.
That's right. It's a whole different level of problems that you get when you start assuming things. It's but no, absolutely, you're right. And for me, the idea right now is I'm trying really hard to provide as much opportunity for people to talk to people and connect with people as I can. To sort of give them an opportunity to sort of feel as if they're connected, because like you said, human contact is something that we have tended to let atrophy a little bit, and now we're kind of dusting off those skills and trying to get back on those skills, and I think that may be one of those things that comes out of a situation like this, which is very negative. I almost always find positive stuff that sort of finds its way through when stuff like this is over.
Sure.
Maybe it will have a tendency to encourage us to be more service connected and more one-on-one connected rather than just well, I blasted out an email last week, to 500 people. I'm sure they all felt really
Right.
well connected, kind of thing.
Well, how many families do you see now having picnics in the park, or having to take walks outside, or their dogs getting walked on a more regular basis? Simple things. We resort back to playing board games,
Right.
playing deck of cards. It's not just about sitting around the television or the computer anymore, or sitting on the phone. It's actually how fortunate we are here in Florida that the weather is so nice. We actually can get outdoors and do something and enjoy the environment versus being snowed in and not being able to utilize the outdoors. So again, that change in perspective. Families are eating dinner together now, where perhaps they haven't always been able to find the time. Books are getting read that people haven't had time to read books.
Oh my God, books are being
gosh,
read.
there's a hard copy book.
What is this? I've never seen. What is this? I don't. It's like what is
exactly. Exactly. You're not having to look at it on your Kindle anymore.
That's right. So it is nice. I mean, it really has sort of humanized it in our dehumanized segregation pods. We have begun to sort of humanize. It is true. I mean, I walk Buddy here in just south of San Marco every day in a large park that's down there, and normally during the week, I don't know, it's a 20-acre, 25-acre park. There's nobody there. But now you'll go, and like you said, there'll be 3 or 4 couples that are either walking, or a kid and his father or mother throwing a ball around, or flying a kite or something, things that I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know anybody had kites anymore, kind of thing. But
and the other thing too is that, with this isolation, titles, status, this virus is not, it doesn't discriminate. So it doesn't matter whether you're a C-suite employee, whether you're a business owner, or whether you're a middle management, a brand new employee, or, just trying to climb onto the totem pole, or quite frankly, if you're one of the folks that unfortunately has been laid off or is unemployed right now. And so it removes that status and the titles and just makes us human again. Yet there's such opportunity when I see someone that perhaps needs something on the street or at the grocery store or in the park or whatever the case may be. I'm not asking to help them because of whatever position, status, etc. that person may have. It's just about being human again and seeing the worth and value in other human beings without this preconceived agenda or ulterior motive that you have in connecting with that person. Perhaps I never would have connected with them before, but now we have a mutual bond that we're going through this together and have an understanding that we want to help this community and help those people around us. So just being able to understand and embrace the worth and value that everyone brings to the table.
I think
it's lost.
I think it's certainly, if not lost, it's certainly been sort of sidelined for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to need to wind this down, but I think your point of it's just sort of allowed us to just be human, human to human, connection, support, encouragement, nurturing, these kinds of things. I mean, those are the things I pushed for years in organizations. And somebody asked me, well, yesterday, how is it going to be when the businesses come back to business? That's what we were joking about at the beginning, which was, well, hopefully you had a good relationship before you send all these people home. But if you're not working to either, if you don't have the relationship, you're not working to build it, you're not working to create a connection, you're not creating, if you just send people home and then expect them to come back motivated and excited, you better find something to do in between that shows the people that you're interested in their well-being, not in your well-being, but in their well-being. And when you can do that, people are frighteningly easy to motivate when they feel as
Absolutely.
if they're being supported. You know, it just doesn't, because it doesn't happen that much. It just doesn't. People don't feel
No,
that way.
it doesn't. And isn't it so true, not to quote Maya Angelou, but truly that we don't always remember what people have done for us or
Right.
the things that they said or did, but you certainly remember how people made you feel. And in times like this, with this pandemic that's happening, you know, we all are getting hit from so many different directions.
Right.
You know, trying to stay afloat, stay on top of all the information that's flooding us every
Right.
day.
Right.
But how can you make someone else feel better during this situation? There's always a bright spot
Yeah.
that you can help someone else have. And to your point, you know, with business, now is the time to be human and
Right.
impact how
Yeah.
other people feel.
Right. No, I agree. Kelly, thank you very much for being a part of the talk
My
today.
pleasure.
I enjoyed it. I knew this was going to be fun. I've been looking forward to catching you on time. I think we started when we could have still sat down face to face, and we've delayed it so much that we've ended up having to be here. But it's been a joy seeing you. And
I love it.
if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Monday electronically as well. So listen, Kelly,
That
thank you
sounds
very
great.
much, and I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
John.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you.